Hey you. Welcome to episode 13 of the Free Your Voice podcast. Actually, is it episode 13? I can't remember if it's episode 13 or 14, but nonetheless, we are here with another episode today. Real quickly, before we get started, I do have a few announcements. I wanted to remind you guys that this podcast is bi-weekly. We upload every other Wednesday on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, what else? Apple Podcasts. It is on multiple platforms, so go check it out. Make sure you share with a friend if you feel led to do that. Also, please remember, guys, to leave comment and feedback. It just really helps me grow this platform and grow my podcast. It helps me get better over time and, just change things up and take recommendation. Also, I do want to ask you guys if you have a specific content that not content, but a specific topic. Slow down, Amber. I'm talking way too fast. But a specific topic that you want to hear in the future, please let me know. You can email me. You can leave it in the comment section. You can write me or DM me on social media. I'm always open to ideas and thoughts. Of course, I only talk about what I feel like God puts on my heart throughout these episodes. But if there's something that you really want to hear me talk about, I have no problem with, asking God for permission to talk about that first, and then go ahead and talk about it. But today's episode, we are talking about the power of prayer and fasting. It was actually hard to pick a topic this week. I had a list of topics and I had to narrow it down to one. This week my focus has been kind of off. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. So typically I ask God, like, hey God, like, what do you want me to talk about? Ask him that usually like weeks prior, and then throughout the weeks he gives me the idea and I start taking my notes. Well, today your girl did not I did not do that. I waited till today to ask God, what is it that you want me to talk about? And I was struggling to figure it out, and I actually have someone that is very special and very important to me, and this person actually encouraged me to talk about the topic of prayer and fasting today. So thank you. You know who you are. But with that being said, I feel God really led me here after talking it over with him and trying to get his approval. I feel that he really wants me to put this out there. He wants his children to hear it. So we're going to get right into it. I don't have that many notes today. It's going to be very short, very sweet, very simple. But I want to start with the common misconceptions of prayer and fasting. I feel like a lot of people, even me, I am guilty of this. When I first started fasting, I kind of went about it the wrong way. I looked at fasting as a way or a tool to receive something in return from God. So my mindset was kind of in this place where it was like, okay, if I fast, if I give up this certain thing, God will give me something in return. So I was going about it with this attitude of receiving something from God, and that is not how fasting works. You should never go into a fast with the thought process of, if I do this, then God will bless me with this. You shouldn't go into anything like that, especially when it comes to God and your relationship with him. However, this was what was going on with me, and I'm sure it goes on with a lot of people. I'm not the only one that makes that mistake, but that was always the mindset I had around it. So I was fasting, but in the wrong way. And I always wondered why the fast didn't end how I expected it to, why I did not get anything from God in return. And it took me a while to realize, like, hey, you're going about this the wrong way. You have a good idea of it, but you're just not doing it completely right. And then also, for those that don't know, I forgot to even say this. When I say fasting, I'm talking about withholding something or making a sacrifice to God. So you withhold yourself from, participating in this thing or eating this certain food or, just doing something that you really enjoy in order to sacrifice it to God, in order to better serve him and better hear him. It's kind of like you're saying you would rather give this up and sacrifice it to God to show your love for him, to show your commitment to him, and to show that you really do want to prioritize his love and his will in your life. So that is what fasting is. And a lot of people I know, they have different reasons for fasting. Some fast for health reasons and to lose weight. And, that is one way to go about it. But that is not the type of fasting that I'm talking about here today. And then some also have the misconception that fasting can only be from food. When we talk about fasting with God or fasting for something in order to serve God, it doesn't have to be just a fast from food. You can fast from anything. For me personally, some of the things that I typically fast from are social media. I will give up Instagram, Facebook. Even back in the day when I was on Twitter and Snapchat, I would give those things up, just so that I am not spending all my time on there. The time that I would typically spend on social media, I have decided to devote that time to God. So during the fast, I would spend my free time during the week praying to God, talking to God, writing to Him, watching a sermon, reading about Him, anything. I would spend it more so with Him than I would on the social media. So it's like you put God in place of that thing that you're fasting from. Another thing that I typically fast from is junk food. Junk food, that is my weakness. I love, and not even just junk food, sweets in particular. So sometimes I will fast from sweets, and when I get the urge, like, oh, I want something sweet, I want, I don't know, a piece of a cookie before bed, because I'm fasting from that thing. Instead, I will fuel that desire or that craving with God. So instead of giving in and eating that cookie or eating whatever it is that I was craving at that moment, I go read a Bible verse, or I talk to God, I pray to God, and that is a sacrifice, because it's like, I want this thing, I want to do this thing, I want to participate in this, but I know that I can't because I'm giving it up to God. So there's a lot of things you can fast from. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it. Just remember, it does not always have to be food. And then you don't have to fast from all foods. You can pick a certain food, or you can pick a certain meal a day. Like you can say, I'm going to fast between this hour and that hour. So let's say you're doing a 12-hour fast throughout the day. You can always do it that way, or you can fast just in the morning or just at night, whatever it is. Like, fasting is such a broad term that you really can do what you want with it. Don't limit yourself. Don't make it too hard that you fail at the fast, but you want to pick something that is really important to you, something that you really value, and then you want to make sure that you set aside what it is you're going to give up, how long you're going to give it up for, and the purpose of you giving it up. Additionally, sometimes I ask myself, why do I fast? Like, what is my purpose for fasting? How do I know that I need to do a fast? For me, fasting is all about growing closer to God. So there's times where I feel my relationship with God is not as strong as it once was, or if I feel myself not necessarily drifting from Him, but I don't feel Him as strongly. I don't feel like that urge, like I'm on fire for God. Like, I don't feel it. Then I know that something is not right, and I need to refocus myself. I need to recenter myself. And then that's when I would go into a fast. So there's really no set time that I would do it. It can be anytime throughout the year, anytime during the week, whatever. I want to put myself on a fast just with the purpose and the intentions of growing closer to God, to feel Him more, to hear Him clearly. I fast for discernment. If I'm confused or I need a better understanding about something, I will go into a fast just so that I'm blocking out all other distractions and only hearing Him. And like I said, it's just a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice that you're making to say, okay, God, this is what I'm giving to you. And in return, I'm hoping that I'll be able to hear you clearly. I'm hoping to have more understanding. You just really want to show Him that with this fast, you are devoting more time and more, love towards Him. You're valuing the relationship that you have with Him. And like I said, I'm looking at my notes, so sorry guys. But like I said, for me, I always decide to pick at least 2 or 3 things that I highly value. And I will fast from all 2 or 3 of those things at the same time. So typically, like I said, I do junk food, social media, sometimes TV, sometimes a video game. If you know, I love Animal Crossing. So sometimes I will fast from that. But there really is no specific written in stone way to go about fasting. You can be creative with it. You can take baby steps and only fast from one specific thing, let's say for 7 days or even 3 days. Like, you don't have to go all out and do a freaking like Daniel's fast where you're fasting for like 21 days from sun up to sundown. You don't have to do any of that. Really just make it, as long as you make it personal for you, and as long as you stick to it and you have discipline within that fast, then you know that it's going to serve a purpose. You know that it's going to have some power behind it. And also the most important thing is making sure you're praying throughout the fast. For me personally, I don't go a single day without praying to God, and multiple times at that throughout the day. But when you're fasting, you really want to prioritize prayer, because prayer is going to be what fuels you throughout that fast. It's going to be what gives you that stamina, the motivation, the endurance to keep going in the fast until, you know, you reach your last day of the fast. So I know this episode was not long at all. I think we hit like maybe 10 or 11 minutes, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an understanding of how powerful fasting can be. And like I said, I know a lot of people have misconceptions about it. It can be confusing to some people. It may not be understood, but as long as you remember that you can fast in your own personal way. It does not have to be a specific fast that you hear, you know, a lot of people talking about, like the Daniel fast or a 48-day fast, whatever. You can make it personal to you, and God would appreciate it just as much as he appreciates any other fast. It's just about serving that time to him and making that sacrifice to him. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I think this is our shortest episode yet. Like, I don't think I've had an episode less than 15 or 20 minutes. So this is a little different for me. I feel like I have more to say, but I know that I don't. It's just me wanting to talk to y'all. So anyways, like I said, make sure you leave feedback. Make sure you leave reviews, questions, comments, anything. I'm open to it all. And I will catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.